reading today from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 9, entitled, Prahlad Pacifies the Lord with Prayers. Before we begin, in this mood of the servant of the servant of the servant, Priyajanan Anusevatam, let us offer prayers, first of all for Srimati Nanda Priya Devi, who is apparently in the very last stages of her present life in this world with us. Wonderful, wonderful devotee who was inspired three generations of children on the path of pure bhakti. Let us take this moment to pray to Shri Shri Radha Gopinath to shower their blessings upon her. And let us offer our prayers for His Holiness Srila Jaipatak Swami Maharaj, who is still in critical condition in the sense that he requires ventilator for breathing. Until he can do without that, his present life is not out of danger. This great compassionate soul who's given his heart for the last 40 years in the mood of Prahlad to give bhakti to the world. One of the senior most dear disciples of Prabhupada, who we are all so indebted and obliged to. Let us offer our prayers. In today's verse, Prahlad is appealing to the Lord to do what is so easy for him, but absolutely impossible for anyone else. Daiviheshu gunamayi mama maya duratyaya. Material energy is very strong. These gunas, tamaguna, rajaguna, sattvaguna, are powerful influences which, when activated by time, create the entire manifestation of material existence. The influence of ignorance, passion, and goodness is so strong, the Lord explains, that no one can escape. Only one who surrenders to the Lord can escape. There is a famous verse that trying to cross over the temptations, the fears, the illusions, the sufferings, the pleasures of material life is like trying to swim across the largest of oceans. What is the hope of anyone to swim across even a small ocean like the Pacific Ocean? It is simply impossible. But for one who takes shelter of the Lord, that ocean is reduced in size to the water contained in the hoofprint of a calf, a little cow. One can easily cross over. But how to take shelter of the Lord? That is what this verse is about. Prahlad says what's impossible for us is very easy for you, because you are the controller of material existence. You are Sarveshwareshwara, the controller of all controllers. If you withdraw your Maya, then Maya does not exist for us. And you are favorable to those who are the servants of your servants. Prahlad Maharaj does not approach the Lord on the basis of his own qualifications. These prayers are very instructive throughout. When Prahlad talks about himself, how he was born in a low family of demons, how he's so much addicted to materialistic life, he only speaks about his vulnerabilities, his weaknesses, his problems. Now the amazing thing is none of us see in the history of Prahlad any of these weaknesses or problems. There's not a trace of it. From the time he was a little embryo in the womb, he was a Mahabhagavat. And yet he's talking about being filled with snake-like material attachments and desires and egos. Is he just making that up? No, he's not making that up. Why we don't see those things in him? This is very interesting conception for all of us to understand. Because he sees those things in himself, and because he feels himself so unqualified, he completely takes shelter of his Gurudev, Narada Muni. And therefore he doesn't have any of those problems. If you think you have your problem and you take shelter of the servant of the Lord, then those problems don't exist. If you don't think you have those problems, then you won't take shelter, then those problems will exist. This is a subtle but very, very critical point in bhakti. It is universal. Therefore, all the great personalities pray in such a way that they have very little to say good about themselves, but how much they praise the Vaishnavas and their Guru and Krishna. It's this psychology of humility that enables them to fully take shelter. Here, although Prahlad has done so many amazing acts of historical devotion, which are going down in history forever, as far as he's concerned, his only qualification is that his Gurudev, Narada Muni, has blessed him. That's why you did all this for me, my Lord. And that's why you're standing before me now, offering me all benedictions. You have incarnated in this world, not because of me, but because I serve my Gurudev, and by his mercy, he blessed me and you have come. Tandara Charana Sevi Bhakti Sanivas. Therefore Narottam Das Thakur is praying, let me just be the servant of the Vaishnavas, and let me be very happy to live with the devotees. And Srila Prabhupada is taking this principle and focusing on it in his illustrious purport. How the Lord is very favorable to one who follows the instructions of his pure devotee. And Prabhupada says, in other words, one must become the servant of the servant of the servant of the Lord. And Prabhupada quotes Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Tumi to Thakur tomara kukur boliya janara more. Oh my Lord, oh Vaishnav, please consider me your dog. One who, even if a dog is the object of the mercy of a Vaishnav, is the most fortunate person. We know the story of Shivananda Sain. When he was bringing all the devotees to Puri, there were 300-400 devotees, and a stray dog happened to just join up with them and wanted to follow them. And Shivananda Sain took such compassion toward this dog. He made special meals for him, paid special tolls for him. And ultimately that dog, Lord Chaitanya in Puri was feeding that dog his own Mahaprasad with his own hands and sent him to Goloka Vrindavan. What was his qualification? That he was dear to a great devotee. That's all. Now dogs are domestic to some extent. But even amongst that society, the lowest, most untouchable is a jackal. Yes? Jackals, nobody praises jackals. People praise dogs. In the West, usually more than humans. In America, they have special beauty parlors for dogs. They have entire, really big stores, national chains of big stores with thousands of articles you can buy, and it's all paraphernalia for dogs. Coats and socks and gloves and hats, and different types of shampoos and perfumes, different chemicals to shine their toenails. Yeah, this is not exaggeration. And if anybody in America hears this tape that you're laughing, they'll be very offended. We'll have to edit this tape. But where do you find any store or any paraphernalia for a jackal? Jackal is very low considered very contaminated. In America, you'll see in almost any city, when people are walking their dogs, by the thousands and thousands, people walking their dogs. In the suburbs, in the cities, in the towns, in the villages, people walking their dogs. And they have a little machine, very simple little machine, or special rubber gloves. And whenever the dog responds to the calls of nature, because when they're outside, they do not discriminate where they do. Then the master, so-called master, will get fined by the government if he does not personally pick up the stool of the dog. So they have special. So they put on their rubber glove and they pick it up and they put it in a little special. You get that at one of those shops, a special little box that you carry and put it in. Sometimes they have little machines that scoop it and they put it in. You see this everywhere. So this is very menial service. How many of you have someone doing that for you since you've been a little baby? But the dogs have. But nowhere have we ever heard of this for a jackal. Yes. But even a jackal, there's no discrimination. Dog, jackal. There's a beautiful story of one of the associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Kamalakara Pipalai. He was having Nam Sankirtan at his home, in his temple courtyard. And one of the very, very most intimate associates of Lord Nityananda Prabhu, he is one of the 12 Gopals, one of the 12 principal cowherd boys of Braj Bhumi who descended with Lord Nityananda Prabhu. His name is Parameshwar Thakur. Very close to Janava Devi, Lord Nityananda Prabhu's consort as well. Parameshwar, it is explained, he went to Vrindavan, the final visit of Janava Devi, and personally witnessed her merge into the body of the deity of Ananga Manjari in the Gopinath temple. But in this particular instant, Parameshwar Thakur was dancing and chanting in the kirtan at Kamalakara Pipalai's home. And many, many people were coming. Very attractive kirtan. They were singing, they were dancing, they were so blissful. Krishna is not different than his name. And the realization of Krishna not different than his name is especially when devotees chant with that faith. And even more so when devotees chant with that realization. So it was very popular. But there was some very, very antagonistic people who hated Vaishnavas. And they couldn't tolerate this kirtan. It was just making too much noise. Nowadays, you just, file a case in the courts to stop it. But in those days, it wasn't so easy. They wanted to disgrace it. These people, they were Hindus, in one sense. They wanted to completely contaminate the kirtan area so that everyone would have to leave. So the devotees were chanting and dancing very blissfully, and these men, they were burning with envy because so many people were having such a good time. Materialistic people who are envious, they cannot tolerate other people happy when they're not happy. So what they did to completely contaminate and disrupt the entire kirtan, they went out and killed a jackal. Right? And then they threw the jackal, the dead corpse of a jackal, right into the middle of the kirtan. Everyone, they were chanting, dancing, and all of a sudden this dead, bloody jackal just right in the center of the kirtan. Parameshwar loudly chanted the holy names. Suddenly the jackal came back to life, leaped in the air, and started howling the Hare Krishna mantra. And for the rest of the kirtan, he was one of the devotees. Tears in his eyes, screaming out the holy names, dancing in ecstasy. Now, if anyone would have collected his stool, they would have become purified. It would have been very excellent Vaishnav Seva. This is the power of getting the mercy of a devotee. Even if you're a jackal, you can attain the highest perfection. There's a well-known story in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita which reveals this truth. Of a particular devotee that received a form of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy that no one was given the entrance into, except some of the most intimate confidential associates. His name was Kalidas. Kalidas lived not far from Saptagram, just a few miles from Krishnapur, which is the birthplace of Radhanath Das Goswami. In fact, he is a distant uncle of Raghunath Das Goswami. Kalidas made a vow. He was a very, very learned, very devoted person, highly respected in society. His vow was that he was going to get the remnants of the food left on the plate of every Vaishnav or devotee in the entire Bengal. And he was determined. What does that mean? Just to eat food off somebody's plate is not in and of itself such a great thing. It was the faith in his heart. He had so much faith in the devotees. He so much wanted to humbly serve the devotees. He so much considered every devotee better than himself. That's the spirit of what he was doing. And how did he go about it? He would go to every devotee's house. And he himself was quite well-to-do. He would get really nice first-class prasad. He would probably do a little research of what that devotee liked. And he'd bring it in a nice plate and go to their house and offer obeisances and give them the prasad. And then he would ask for their remnants. And if they were not willing to give their remnants, he would somehow or other get it. Unknowingly. He did everything in such a way that he never hurt anyone's feelings. He would very humbly, with folded hands, say, "Please bless me and honor me with some remnants after you eat this." And if they said, "No, no, no, we cannot give you our remnants. you are superior to us. And he would bow down and leave. And he would come back. Nobody would know, and he would hide until they would throw out. He'd give them always some prasad where there would be some peel or some seed or something. Or the plate. He would give them a plate, a leaf plate. And then after some time, they would throw the plate in the rubbish pit, and then he would go secretly to the rubbish pit and lick the plate and get whatever remnants. In this way, thousands of people he did this. And he did not discriminate who was high and who was low. If someone has faith in Krishna, if someone has devotion to Krishna, as far as he was concerned, they are the highest. He went to Jadu Thakur. Jadu Thakur, by the standards of the society at that time, he was born in a community of sweepers. And he was considered an untouchable. Not a Shudra, an untouchable by society. Out of the caste system altogether. By many orthodox Hindu calculations of that time, he had no rights even to worship. But he was a very great devotee of the Lord. Jadu Thakur was coming from a very high caste. He was from a very affluent family. And he was a very learned scholar. He went to the house of Jadu Thakur and bowed down to Jadu Thakur. Jadu Thakur didn't know what to do. He bowed down to Kalidas. They shared love for Krishna. Now Jadu Thakur and Kalidas knew for sure that Kalidas would not give him remnants. So he gave him first-class ripe mangoes. Now in Bengal, everyone likes first-class ripe mangoes. So he gave it to him on a leaf plate. Yes? So, when he bowed down, Jadu Thakur said, "Why are you bowing to me? I'm untouchable. You are coming from very high caste, from a very noble family." And Kalidas just revealed his heart by quoting from scripture. That even if one is born in a Brahmin family, if that person is not a devotee, that person is not dear to the Lord, and that person cannot deliver even himself, what to speak of anyone else. But if a person, even Chandala, even lowest of untouchables by calculation of materialistic society, if that person is a devotee of the Lord, very dear to the Lord, and not only deliver himself but his family, and could become guru of the world. Aho bata swapucho togariyam yajjiva kare bhartate namatubhyam. Yes, even if a person is Brahmin and has all the 25 qualifications of a first-class Brahmin, if he's not a devotee of the Lord and does not take the name of the Lord, cannot deliver himself. But even Chandala, if he's a devotee who chants the holy names, that person is considered to have already gone to all the holy places of pilgrimage, has done all the sanctified samskaras, have perfected all the prerequisites to be a first-class Brahmin. In fact, that Chandala can deliver the world. So Kalidas is quoting these scriptures just to justify his bowing down to Jadu Thakur. And Jadu Thakur says, everything you're saying is perfectly true. But the problem is, it does not apply to me. Because I'm not a devotee of the Lord. And he meant it. So it went on and on like this. They were exchanging their love for Krishna. By both of them, completely humble. Kalidas just wanted to be the servant of Jadu Thakur, and Jadu Thakur just wanted to be the servant of Kalidas. And in the end, he gave them the mangoes. And then he asked his leave. And Jadu Thakur walked him, which is a tradition of hospitality. Not that you just, sit in your chair at home as somebody's leaving and say bye. But the custom is that you really make a person feel that you want them to be there. I know Krishna, Chandra Prabhu, Radha Priya Devi. I've seen whenever anyone visits their house and goes to leave their house, my parents, they couldn't believe this. My old friend Gary, he couldn't believe it. Even I can't believe it. When you're leaving their house, Radha Priya is always crying. Always crying. Why are you leaving? Why don't you stay? We'll miss you so much. And it's so much from the heart. And it comes to you to the stairs, to the downstairs, until you come to the car. And Krishna Chandra is in the same mood. His tears are not necessarily as visible. But the same spirit is there. And when you leave, you're thinking, these people there's so much love. There's such a service attitude. That's culture. Srinathji Prabhu has a nice house. Whenever you're leaving his house, he comes down the elevator. Sometimes he's come all the way to my room with me. I'm wondering, we should get another mosquito net to This culture. So Jadu Thakur, he's just a very poor man, sweeper class. It's not sweepers have nice houses. They're the poorest of the poor. But he was so rich with culture. As Kalidas was leaving, Jadu Thakur walked with him for some distance. Until Kalidas practically insisted, please go home now, you walked enough with me. And then he said, yes, yes. And then he bowed down, Jadu Thakur, and then walked back. And after he left, and Kalidas bowed down to him. And as he was walking away and his back was turned, Kalidas looked for Jadu Thakur's footprints in the dust of the road. And with ecstasy, not just a formality, but with deep, profound faith in his heart that this dust is so sacred, it will cleanse my entire existence. When you have that faith in the dust, it has that effect on your life. If you don't have that faith, it doesn't have the effect. Because the effect is coming from Krishna. Krishna makes that dust so pure. Because a devotee loves Krishna. Krishna, his bhakti is in the dust of his feet. And the dust of the feet represents service. If you have that faith in service to a Vaishnava, whatever their category is, Prabhupada often quotes that verse, that if one categorizes a devotee by any material standards, sex or caste or education or wealth or any of these things, it is jadi bhuti. It is a hellish mentality. So Kalidas, with so much faith, he considered that dust that was just on the roadside to be more precious than diamonds or rubies or emeralds or sapphires in the museums. He considered it more precious than lavish marble and gold and silver and silks, because he considered it to be the remnants of the devotion of one who is dear to Krishna. It's based on faith. It's based on appreciation. No one was looking except Krishna in his heart. When he went on his knees and picked up that dust from the footprints and smeared it over his body. Only Krishna saw him. Lord Chaitanya saw his faith, saw his relish, saw his service attitude, saw his deep appreciation for this Vaishnava. But that's only the beginning of the story. Jadu Thakur went home. His wife cut the mango and served it to him. Jadu Thakur ate it. And then his wife wanted his remnants because she had such appreciation for him as such a great devotee. So after whatever was left on the plate, she ate it. She sucked the seeds of the mango. She was licking the peels of the mangoes. Whatever pulp he left, she ate it. Then after he ate it, and then she ate her remnants, his remnants, then a little later, she took the plate outside and threw it in the rubbish pit. Now, rubbish pits are not very hygienic places. There's usually flies and all sorts of other exotic insects. Yes. And Kalidas is a wealthy, prestigious, high-class man. So he comes back when nobody's around and goes to that rubbish pit. Can you imagine? He went all the way back. Went to that rubbish pit and found that leaf plate. And there in the leaf plate was the seeds and the skins of the mangoes. He licked the plate. He sucked the seed. He sucked the seed that was already sucked twice. Now we have this, Prahlad Maharaj says, Puna Punas Charavata Charavata. You could think he's like that, chewing that which has already been chewed. You know, we can use an example. Somebody, and then he was licking the inner portion of the skin of the mango that was already licked twice. So we could say that material enjoyment is like this. Somebody licks the mango skin, sucks the seed, throws it in the rubbish bin. Then somebody else picks it up, does it, throws it out, and then you come and do it again. Yes? That's considered to be what material enjoyment. You've already done everything so many times, you've already spit it out so many times, and still you're looking for the same thing again. But just see, when you have faith in a Vaishnav, how it transforms puna punascharapatacharvananam into what Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says to be the greatest asset we have. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says there are 3 very, very powerful substances, and if you only can have faith in these substances, with that faith, with that appreciation, somehow or other get it. Because it will cleanse your heart. It will attract Krishna's mercy to shower upon you if you relish it. And what are those 3 substances? The dust of the feet of a devotee, the water that washed the feet of the devotee, and the prasad that has been eaten by a devotee. When Krishna eats prasad, it's called Mahaprasad. When a devotee eats that prasad, it's called Mahaprasad. In this case, a devotee ate it, and then another devotee ate it, so it's Mahaprasad. Very, very interesting. It's like to be Krishna Das is an exalted position. But to be Das is a more exalted position. But to be a Das, honor Das, even more. Prabhupada explains, the more you go, the more you're the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant, the more relishable it is. So there's Mahaprasad, there's Mahaprasad, and there's Mahaprasad. Very, very powerful substance. Krishnadas Kaviraj, he's a Paramhamsa, he's a Mahabhagavat, he's the highest realized person.